Let's just dive right into this. Today's explainer is a bit different. We aren't looking at charts or data or historical events. Instead, we are stepping inside a deeply personal, emotionally raw true story. We're looking at a piece titled, "The Mother I Hated Most Was the One Who Saved My Life." It's a heavy, cinematic journey, one about profound teenage resentment, the crushing weight of hindsight, and a hidden secret that changes absolutely everything.
The story begins with a cold, almost shocking confession. The author writes, "If someone had asked me who I hated the most when I was 16, my mother." I want you to just sit with that for a second. The person who gave you life being the person you actively despise the most. It's jarring, right? But this hook pulls us instantly into the narrator's adolescent mind. We immediately have to ask, why?
Part 1. The person I hated most, the teenage reality.
Part 2. A life of strict rules, under the microscope.
The narrator paints a picture of a life that felt completely suffocating. Look at the reality she lived every single day. Her mother checked her homework every single night. Zero privacy. She flat out refused to buy expensive clothes, even when everyone else at school had them. And maybe the most isolating rule of all, a curfew before sunset, while all of her friends were staying out until midnight. Stacking these rules up like this, you can practically feel the intense pressure. You feel that unyielding restriction closing in on a 16-year-old girl who just wanted to breathe.
But there was something much deeper than the rules, something that hurt far more. And worst of all, she never smiled, at least not at her daughter. This right here is the emotional core of the anger. It wasn't really about clothes or curfews. It was the emotional distance, the sheer lack of warmth from the one person in the world who is supposed to offer it to you unconditionally.
Every single conversation seemed to end the exact same way. Study harder. Don't waste money. Be careful. No, no, no. Her mother's repetitive refrains felt like hitting a brick wall. To a teenager desperate for just a tiny bit of connection and freedom, this didn't feel like parenting. It felt closed off, harsh, overwhelmingly controlling.
Part 3. The unfair comparison. Looking at others.
You can clearly see how the narrator viewed the world at that time. On one side, you have her perception of her own mother, strict, unsmiling, just a constant source of no. But then she looked at her friends' moms. Those women laughed. They took selfies with their daughters. They bought them whatever they wanted. It was the ultimate teenage illusion of a perfect family. And seeing that contrast forced a painful, incredibly isolating question into her mind every single day. Why couldn't I have a mother like that? You can almost hear the internal longing, can't you? The genuine heartbreak of a teenager who feels entirely misunderstood and entirely unloved by her own parent.
Part 4. My biggest regret, the shame we carry.
The story then slows down, and the narrator confesses a specific, agonizing memory. Sometimes, when her mother came to school meetings, she would literally pretend she didn't know her. She ignored her own mother in public. It's a moment of pure, blinding teenage embarrassment, one that eventually transforms into crushing adult guilt.
Because we have to look at the context behind this memory. Her mother came to that school for one reason: to support her daughter, and she showed up wearing the exact same old coat she had owned for years. The daughter was so embarrassed by that worn-out coat that she pretended her mother was a complete stranger. But looking at it now, with the clarity of adulthood, that coat tells a completely different story. It hints at the hidden, exhausting financial sacrifices the mother was making behind the scenes. Sacrifices to keep her daughter fed, safe, and educated. Sacrifices the teenager was entirely blind to.
Looking back now, she realizes what she did, and she admits it has become one of her absolute biggest regrets. The emotional weight of that realization is staggering. The woman she genuinely thought was ruining her life was actually sacrificing her own comfort, wearing that same old coat year after year just to be there for her.
The strictness, the rules, the coldness. There was a profound reason for all of it, a reason a 16-year-old couldn't possibly grasp at the time. We so often view our parents through the incredibly narrow lens of our own teenage desires. But this story leaves you wondering, how many invisible sacrifices are being made for us right now? Sacrifices hidden beneath worn-out coats and stern expressions. But the truth of what her mother was really hiding? Well, that would eventually surface in the most terrifying way imaginable. And that is a story for next time.